Run it. I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then I go off.
What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of DNC on the Rise. Cesare, why don't you introduce our guest today?
This is my friend, longtime friend, Mr. Joe Mueller.
How's it going?
So, Joe, your first time on a YouTube podcast, at least. I know you've done YouTube in the past. So, how do you feel about it so far?
Get a little bit closer to the mic. Yeah.
Yeah, not too bad. It's pretty cool being here with you guys, being able to do this with you guys, and just grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah. And the reason I wanted to bring Joe on, is because we wanted to share some different experiences with dealing with hardship. We posted a video not too long ago called Dealing with Tough Times?
I think it was like fighting through the tough days, something like that.
Yeah. So we want to just have a person that has some different experiences that we do that can bring some more information for you guys. So, Jeh, to start this conversation off with, do you think that it's an interesting question that you don't have to get detailed about it, but just do you think depression is like something that is like permanent, or do you think it's something that there's potentially a solution to?
See, realistically, even if it is permanent, there's a way to take care of it. So even if you do have depression, you can combat that. You'd be able to, battle it so that way you don't have to sit there and just worry and brew in your head, because that's not going to help. Even if you are depressed, it's easier to try to figure out how to help it and how to make sure that you can monitor it instead of just letting it brew and saying, oh, this is permanent, I can't do anything about this. There's always something to do about it. You just have to figure out what that is for you personally.
I would agree with that.
I would as well.
I feel like that's a good take. I feel like, there are definitely certain people out there that I can't, I'm not a doctor, I don't know the full studies behind these things, but I know that there's people out there that they look at depressions as like a permanent disease that will not leave, And I truly believe that mindset, even if it were to be true, right? Let's say theoretically that were to be true, it's something that is always just going to kind of linger with you. I think that there's like you said, there's a solution to every problem, and there's ways to kind of make the process easier, I would say.
Absolutely. It's literally just depends on the person. But
Yeah, so I would say with depression, my main thing with it is just that I think people use it as an excuse. Yep. Because if you just, certain figure talked about it, but depression is you can cast it as a very wide net to pretty much excuse any problem that you're having or anything that you're unwilling to do. I can't go to the gym because I'm depressed. I can't do this because I'm depressed. I think people use it
as a crutch.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with it. And what I tell people is okay, when you're depressed, my belief is that, and the same individual I believe was the one that said this, is that's literally your mind and your body telling you that your daily habits that you have and the lifestyle that you're currently living isn't really fitting for you. It's not what you need to be doing. I think everybody truly deep down inside knows what they have to do, but they choose to lie and manipulate their mind into believing other things, right? I would say, someone for being you both, right? We used to play video games a lot together, and it eventually became a bad habit to where you saw me leave the video game scene and not really ever return, and you're doing that same exact thing now. And so how has that process been? When was the moment you were sitting there playing and you're like, man, this isn't it anymore. This isn't really gonna get me to where I want to be.
Yeah, realistically, the moment was I was playing with a few of my friends, and it got to the point we were playing so often and we were trying so hard to be good at the game that it wasn't fun anymore. And that's why I play games. That's why I used to play games, was to have fun with the friends. So what's the point of playing if I'm not gonna have fun anymore? I'm not enjoying my time. There's no reason for me to sit there and play for hours on end if 3 of the 4 hours I'm just miserable because the game isn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
And at that point you gotta change something. You can't just sit there and be like, oh, this sucks, and continue to do it. If you continue to do something sucks, it's not gonna help you.
Yeah, I agree. And video games, I feel like it's a good, you can build friendships there, and
Absolutely.
I'm not going to say that I didn't have my fair share of good times on it, because I did. But the impact that it had in my personal life, like once I was off the game, was negative for me. Would you agree? Would you think it was a negative impact as far as like just too much time being invested into it, not really getting yourself outside and, you know, developing new skills, you know, hobbies, whatever it may be for you? Like, would you say that video games can take an effect negatively on that type of stuff?
See, I think they can take it negatively. I mean, there's two separate ways in my opinion. You can see it negatively, and it affects like you being able, because if playing video games makes it so you can't let yourself grow and you can't like go around and do different things to be able to find other stuff that makes you happy, it's a roadblock.
Yeah.
You can't just be sitting there because, oh, it makes me kind of happy, I enjoy it for a little bit. It's not, I think you both said it recently, like it's temporary fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help. Like the temporary fun, you can only do it so much until it's not fun anymore. And then
Exactly.
What's the point? There's no point in doing it. If you're not having fun, you're not having a good time. It's not good for your mental state. It's not good to help you grow as a person.
Yeah,
So
I would agree.
My thing with video games, like, you can definitely learn a lot. Like, I've heard that one of the best sources to learn history, for example, just happens to be video games set in different time periods, because the developers tend to take a lot of care and attention to detail in those things.
Yeah.
You can get better at strategy. Let's say, you know, you were playing like Call of Duty or something, and you like, for you're able to figure out how to work with the team and how to strategize a bit better. But the issue is that that's still a fake reality, and if you could easily fall into the trap of just investing too much time into it, like you guys were saying, and I feel like you reach the point of diminishing returns with video games very fast.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree. And it's like it consumes the mind. It really does, especially when you're a younger person. Like, I feel like, I mean, even it happens with adults. Like, I mean, I know people who are 30 plus years old who still go home and they're like one of their number one priorities when they get home is, I got to get on the game, you know? And once it's at that point, it's bad. But I also, I kind of forgot where I was going with this. Yeah, I did. All right, well, I was going to ask you, what I did want to ask you was, like, after you took time away from playing games as much, did you see yourself feeling better mentally, physically, like once you started to get involved with different things, kind of like you were telling me, going to the field and playing some football, getting yourself out there more?
Yeah, and it also made the games themselves more enjoyable. It made it fun again, because that way I'm not sitting there constantly just playing games and killing the joy of what is supposed to be the fun of it.
Yeah.
But being able to go out and go to the field or do what you need to do that makes you happy, well, like it has to be balanced. If you don't balance it, it's not healthy for your mental state.
Yeah, I would agree. But I remember what I was going to say, but I was just going to say, like, I have, like, younger siblings, and I've been around, like, you know, I got some friends that have kids and all that. So I just see how much these things consume their lives. And it can like, investing into, like, it doesn't even need to be video games, like social media in general. If you're just invested into it too much, it is going to take a negative effect on you mentally, because now social media portrays this false reality of what life really truly is. So now you're comparing yourself to what you're seeing, you know, what other people are doing. And the truth is like, in reality, like, most people are on the same ship right now, you know? That's the thing. As far as just trying to make something out of themselves, you know, achieve a higher purpose, whatever it may be. But I feel as if, investing too much time into anything negative, that's not really going to be, that's just like a temporary dopamine. Like, it's going to negatively impact you in the long run, because you're going to try to be, like, every time you're not achieving real life things. That's the thing. You're not achieving real life things unless you're trying to be a streamer, a professional gamer, you know?
It's the only time it should be acceptable to put that much time into something.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, with some of the harder times you've had, like, why do you think, like, those times were as difficult as they were? Do you think it was just, like, what type of habits did you have that you currently don't have that have benefited you?
See, besides the fact of, like, doing less gaming and doing less of that stuff, it's the fact that what you eat too. And I know a lot of people all over the world obviously say it, doctors, whatever, water. It really is as simple as, like, you might be a little hungry, but at the same time, you're not starving. You need to eat when it's actually appropriate for your body, not just like, oh, I'm semi-hungry, let me go out and get McDonald's. And even then, like if you are going out to get food, there are ways you can make that exact same food, but probably healthier and cheaper
At home. Yeah.
And that in general, eating healthier, water, going outside is a big thing. You got to be able to go outside and enjoy the world, because like no matter if you coop up in your room, professional or not, like playing games, it's not good for your mental health. You have to go outside.
Yeah.
And that's like, I learned that you have to go outside. You have to enjoy what the world is in itself, or else you're just going to think of the negatives of the whole place.
Yeah, I would agree. So when you started to eat healthier and just take care of your physical health, not only the mental health, everything just kind of clicked.
It does.
Right?
It does, because as soon as you start, if you're physically unhealthy, you look at yourself, you might beat yourself up, demoralize yourself, whatever that may be, and that doesn't help the mental health either. The physical and the mental are like super close to each other. Being able to physically be better for yourself will help your mental. Even if I was 320 pounds, 3 years ago? Not even.
Yeah.
I was big dude. I'm 248 now. Like I feel good. And it's literally just about monitoring what you put in your body, how you feel. And if what you're doing doesn't make you feel happy, then why are you doing it?
Yeah.
And even if it's a long-term goal, I could understand if it's like, oh, this isn't helping me. Like I'm not super pumped about this right now, but I know in the long term this will help. Then that makes sense. But you like, it's again, just that temporary fun. There's no reason to sacrifice 15, 20 minutes, maybe 3 hours, go out to a party. Congratulations, you had a party, you got drunk, you feel good for the night. You wake up feeling like shit, and now you don't even want to go outside for a whole ass day.
Yeah.
Because you just got to recover from all the damage you put your body through.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would agree. So like, let me see. Because when you started to make changes with the video game stuff, with your physical health stuff, like, what set you on that path? Like, what made you sit back and realize, man, I'm not doing what I want to do. Like, I want to improve my life.
I was just so tired of being massive, fucking huge. I was a big dude. Wearing triple XL clothes in senior year of high school. Like, that's ridiculous looking back on it. And it's the fact that, like, yeah, I enjoyed playing video games. I have all these memories, but at the same time now I have the good memories, but I can't, as an adult, think that I can just hop on the games and it'll just be hunky-dory. We're adults now. I got bills. We got this. We got that. We got to feed ourselves. We got to make sure we're healthy. Like, you can't do that and function properly if all you're worried about is, like, playing games or hopping on the games with your friends. Yes, hopping on the games with your friends is fun, but it kills the fun of it if you do it every day, in my opinion. It's about, meeting up with them every now and again, playing, so that way the vibe is still there. It's not just like, damn, I have to be here.
Yeah.
Because at that point, it's just not fun. There's no point.
Yeah, I would agree. Do you, like, so what do you, like, do now with that time, all that time that you invested into video games? Like, what do you think for somebody that was on that similar boat as you, how do you think they should, like, handle themselves? What's the first few steps that you
go outside. Go on a walk, even if it's just a walk, 10, 30-minute walk. Just getting outside helps your brain function, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It feels better to, like, be able to be in the world and not be cooped up in your room and, playing all these games. Yeah, it might be fun, but you're in the shade, in the darkness. You have 3 plates because you don't want to go do the dishes. Like, that shit's...
Yeah, and that's another thing that I notice of people that invest a lot of time into video games. If you walk in their room, it is pitch black in there. It
Always.
is pitch dark. Like, I mean, all kinds of food laid out everywhere.
Curtains closed.
Like, it's like a bat cave that just ate a bunch of McDonald's. It's like, it's crazy. And I've seen like multiple different people have that same type of study. I mean, even myself, when I was doing all that, like, once I started to, like, just make sure the whole room was dark, and I'm like, the room is getting messier and messier by the day, that's when I started to really realize that I had an issue. I'm like, man, I'm investing way too much time into this shit. Like, it's not good for my mental health, physical health, like my relationships with my, family, women, whatever. Yeah, everything. So, yeah, I definitely agree with, like, starting to just, like, start small. Like, that's what I tell people. When you want to make a change in your life, it doesn't have to be drastic, overnight.
It's not going to happen overnight.
It's not gonna.
Yeah, and if you try to do that, you're just increasing the odds of failure. Not that it's impossible. It's just very, very difficult.
It is. You have to have, like, a lot of discipline to be able to just be like, okay, I'm investing all my time into playing games, smoking, and eating junk food. Tomorrow, I'm not doing any of that. It's like that's going to be real hard to do because that's all you're surrounded by, right? And not only on top of that, the type of people that you have around you they're always like you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? So if all your time is being invested into that, then the people around you, at least some of them, are probably going to be doing the same exact thing. Would you say that is true, Joe?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I know quite a few people. I mean, I can think of one off the top of my head. Obviously, I won't say their name, but I worry about them just because of that same thing. They spend way too much damn time on their PlayStation and their computer. There's no sunlight in that room ever. The room is like it worries me, But
No, yeah, trust me. I have a friend like that. I mean, I will say this. He's improved. He's definitely improved, but we had to be like, I mean, shit, how long were we on his ass for before the man actually got himself up? I mean, it's been years, huh?
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Very long time.
It's been a while, but like this is, and the point being is like everyone's turn will come. You're eventually gonna be put in a position to where it's gonna be like, I either am gonna make a change and this is not gonna be a reoccurring problem anymore, or you're gonna victimize yourself, not hold yourself accountable for the stuff you've done to your own body, to your own mind, and you're gonna take the victim route and not make much improvement. That's how I really look at it.
And taking that victim route doesn't help yourself.
It doesn't.
And trying to make it seem in your head like it's okay, it's not your fault, won't help. Because as soon as you do that,
do you have experience with you doing that back when you were having your whatever time period it was?
See, not super often, but every now and again there was times. But
yeah,
it was. I tried to learn very quickly. That I'm complaining about all this stuff that I could very easily get up and change myself.
Yeah.
Like these people around me are trying to tell me, and it's like, maybe I should fucking listen. But at the same time, like that isn't how it goes for everyone. But I feel like it's a big part of it.
Yes. I think accountability is probably the biggest part. It's like realizing, okay, it's not this person's fault or that person's fault. Like it's at the end of the day, it's your fault. It's all based off the decisions you've made. The decision you've made 2-3 years ago will affect you today. It will. It's gonna affect your physical health, whatever the situation might have been, your mental health, your financial stability, all that stuff will affect in the long run. So I feel like, yeah, accountability is going to be, I think, the number one issue that people face, but also the number one thing that will like help people get past so many different things in their mind.
Because it's really just a coping mechanism. What you're talking about, where people try to convince themselves that the issues that they're facing really aren't that big of a deal and that it's fine, it's okay, and they go through all these justifications. It's just a coping mechanism so that they don't have to face the reality, because nobody wants to admit that they're going about life the wrong way. Nobody wants to admit that they're doing things wrong. That's a difficult thing to admit to yourself.
It is. It's hard, but it's also like where you got to check your ego. You got to check your ego and your pride, because that would detriment you. And whatever goals you have in life, whether you want to work for a company and climb up the rankings, you want to be an entrepreneur or whatever it may be. It doesn't matter what you want to be. Whether you're working a regular job or you own your own business or you're trying to be an entrepreneur, athlete, whatever, ego and pride, is good to have, sure, but you want to have dignity, right? You more want to have dignity for yourself. Not you don't want to be too prideful and too egotistic, because it's going to prevent you from learning from others that know more than you. It's going to prevent you from wanting to work with other people that might be in a better position than you. So yeah.
There's two sides to that whole ego thing. You could look at it one way and be the kind of egotistical that you're describing right now, which is thinking that you're the man and that you do everything right, and that plays into not being willing to acknowledge the faults that you have. Or you could kind of take it from a different approach, which is not really this idea that I'm the man right now. It's that you're going to be and that you need to be. So it's this kind of ego where you refuse to let things get you down. And so in the situation that you just mentioned of people letting their ego prevent them from learning from other people. If you just look at it from the other way around and you're like, I need to be this person in 5 years, so I need to know what this guy knows.
Exactly.
And it just makes you far more invested in pulling information that other people have that you want.
Yeah. Like, it's like never take advice, or like not even advice, but don't, if somebody's trying to state their opinion to you, look at them and pay attention to who they are. And like, think about it. Like, is this somebody that I would want to be like, or in any way, shape, or form, right? Do I want to adopt his mentality, hers mentality, or the way that they live? Would it be good for me to do that? If the answer is fucking no, that their opinion doesn't really fucking matter.
Their opinion doesn't matter, but they still might have a few things that you could learn from them.
Yeah, I would agree.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You may not completely agree with someone, but at the same time, they still might have things that can help you.
Yeah.
And it's about that openness of being like, they told me all this. This half literally does not apply to me at all. I'm going to push that over here. Maybe I'll use it in the future. Who knows? But this part right here, this is, I can take this. And
yeah, there are specific things, but I was more touching bases on, like, if you're the type of person that's trying to make a change, and somebody's coming to you for an opinion of, oh, no, you're fine. You don't need to worry about yourself. Like stuff like that, trying to keep you where you are. Yeah.
Like when... Whether that's them wanting to keep you down or they're trying to protect your feelings and they don't want to see you in a level of kind of hatred towards yourself, but not really hatred. You're just self-analyzing and trying to be better. But some people interpret that a different way. And other people also don't like you. They don't like you changing. So if, for instance, the whole like video games thing, you might have a buddy who you played with every day for 5 hours, right? But then once you stop, they might say, oh, you're changing. In their eyes, it's for the bad because what you're doing is, in their weird, twisted way, it's hurting them because now they don't have a friend to play video games with, which is weird to me.
Yeah.
But
agreed. I think you two even said it. I think it was that same video about, like, temporary fun. I think it was you. You said it, like, you do things and you start doing less things with these people. And they take it, offensively.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, exactly. And it's like people don't want you to outgrow them is the thing, right? Because if you're within this friend group and you start to make changes that just is improving yourself and they're not doing that, it's quite obvious that they've maintained at the same level and you're just progressing in higher levels in life. People don't like that. Most people will not enjoy being around you simply just because they see that you're actually trying.
It puts things into perspective for them to where they're looking at you changing. Okay, so my friend stopped doing this because he thinks that's bad for him. And then that kind of forces them to analyze and be like, oh, this might be bad for me. But they don't want to admit that. So then they kind of demonize what you're doing as a bad thing.
Agreed.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of projecting will come in. Mm-hmm. Like they'll come at you, pointing fingers, saying certain things about you, but truly they're just it's them. They're just saying, like, they're having a conversation with themselves, essentially. That's how I look at it. Of course there are times, right, where people will talk to you and sit down with you and they're saying some real stuff and you do need to listen and take that and put your ego and pride aside. But you got to be able to read when someone's doing that and when somebody's just talking shit because they don't like seeing where you're headed in life. And with the friend group, once you make progress, if the others are not willing to make the progress with you, it's gonna go one of two ways. Either you'll still be cool with them because they'll just, they'll be like, okay, cool, you do your thing, I'll do my thing, but no hard feelings, right?
Yep.
And you'll still be able to connect with them, not as much, but here and there. And then there's gonna be the other ones that are gonna be upset about it, that they're gonna sit back and it's almost like they don't want to be like, I don't feel like within a friend group, there's always that, like, eventually everybody kind of grows up and starts to do their own thing and outgrows each other. Not completely, but in certain aspects. And there are certain guys that are just not willing to make that change. And I feel like they want to hold another one back that way. They're not the last ones not to make that change. You feel me? They're not the last ones to have to go through that process.
They're not alone.
Yeah, exactly. So they're not alone in that situation. They're not the only ones out of the friend group that didn't do X, Y, Z. And I feel like I think that plays a big factor into people, getting upset and, not wanting to really be cool with you anymore. And I've experienced that from multiple different people. Like I've mentioned it multiple times. After me and him, like when we were just talking about doing the podcast, everyone was supporting it. when we actually started putting videos out and starting to be consistent with it, and we showed them like this isn't just, you know, a few video thing and then we're gonna be done. Like once people realize that we're gonna stick with it, like a lot of people distance themselves. Like, you know, like people stopped responding, like all kinds of shit.
I think it's a few different things as well, because I mean, you had teased a few little snippets on your stories of a few videos that we never uploaded, and people could kind of get hints about what kind of subject matter we were going to be talking about.
Yeah.
But we also never really showed that too much, so I think a lot of people just didn't really expect what we were going to be talking about, and then once they realized that we're talking about self-improvement and calling out certain behaviors, I think that kind of rubbed a few other people the wrong way as well.
Well, yeah, because I'm sure a lot of the stuff that we've mentioned applies to a lot of people. And I mean, and that's the thing that motherfuckers don't understand. Like, once upon a time, those things apply to us, you know? Like, we're sitting here talking based off experience. I'm telling you, I've done X, Y, Z, and these were the results that I've had, you know? And they weren't good. But I've also done this, and these are the results that I had, and it's been much better. So now I'm just trying to, you know, lend out the information that I have and what worked for me, what worked for him, what worked for you for others to make improvement. But like I said, that ego, that pride, you know, that's really going to stop you, and it's going to detriment you from gaining more knowledge from others. And I think that's probably I gotta agree, that's like the biggest issue that we've probably had with people that personally know us, is that we sit here and we talk about this stuff, and a lot of those things applies to multiple different people, you know, and they're not going to like that, and their ego will not allow them to come to, you know, be like, hey guys, like, saw this video, kind of got upset about it, but I think what you said is true. Like, what do you think I should do? Or like, what's your opinion on it? Like, you know, something like that. Like, cause I've done that, you know, when I was down in a certain position, I'm like, man, like I see certain people doing better, but I wouldn't get mad about it or upset about it. I'm like, what are they doing? You know, how did they get there? How are they doing this? And that kind of is what drove me to start to, I guess, escape that victim mentality. Is like, man, like now that I think about it, most of this shit's on me anyway, you know? Like nobody else had control. I made the decisions, and the decisions got me to where I'm at now. So it's like I said, accountability is going to be one of the biggest things, if not the biggest things, in order to like get past this depressed, negative, like sad state of mind.
And I feel like people also have to understand that shit, the mentality, the sad part, like even that shit won't end right away. Maybe not even in a week or two, depending on the variation of where you're at individually, it changes how long it could take. And people have to understand that if you're in the deep end and you're super deep, you're depressed, it's going to take a little bit to get back to how you were. That's just how it is. It's not instant. You can't just make 2 changes and it's just fixed.
Yeah.
But there are some people like that. All they need is to change 2 simple things and they're back on.
Do you want to real quick? Sorry. Do you want to tell them why your arm is like this as well? That way, so people are not confused and think any chromosomes are missing or there's any extra ones. Tell them why your arm is like this.
I got a messed up shoulder right now. It's doing a little bit better today, but I've been having it in the slings for about a week now. So it's been pretty immobile, so I'm just trying to keep that arm.
Yeah, I just wanted them to know that. But yeah, guys, I mean, like I said in the beginning of the video, like Joe and I go back to, we met junior year, second half of our junior year.
7 years ago?
Yeah, like 7? Yeah. Has it been 7?
I graduated in 19. It's 24. Yeah.
Oh shit,
Yeah.
dude, we're old, bro. But yeah, we've been friends for a while. We played football together. Like he said, like I've seen him. I was one of those people that was in his ear, like, motherfucker, you gotta stop playing games somewhere. You gotta do this, you gotta do that. And it's been super awesome to see Joe make these drastic, like these huge improvements as far as not playing the games as much, cutting the weight, just taking better care of your life in general, not just overall. So it's cool to see. And it's also interesting to me because there was a lot of other people that were telling you to make this change, and you have now, but they haven't made much, much of a change. And I've been in the same shoes before where,
And like you were saying, I made that change, and I even lost a few people because they're like, oh, you're not playing games with me as much, you're not hanging out with me as like online as much, like blah blah blah. It's like it's because that's what you were telling me to do, is to go get a life.
And you gotta be careful. And then you did, and now they're mad,
And
right?
now they're mad.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. Like a lot of that is just them projecting, them just telling you these things just to make you like. It's really them telling themselves, bro, but they don't want to admit it to themselves, so they're gonna tell you.
They want to tell it to someone else, so that way they don't have to think about it for themselves.
Exactly.
And that goes right back to the whole projection thing of people calling you out for things that they themselves do. Like if Cesare has an issue that if I identify an issue that Cesare is doing, odds are that I do it myself because it was the first thing I noticed. I pulled this example from a story I heard about an acting class where it was just simple class of maybe 30 students. One person will go up, do a monologue or something, and the rest of the students will critique that person on what they did. Most of the things that the students critique the speaker for doing are things that they themselves do because that's what's top of mind.
Yeah.
That's what people think of immediately is what they do. And so they try to tell other people, like, hey, I do this. You shouldn't do that. But they don't do it.
And that's the thing. I feel like that type of stuff, it could come off two ways. It could come off as, like, in a way that they're projecting. Like you said earlier, they're just trying to pretty much tell themselves without telling themselves, so they'll tell somebody else. But I feel like it can also come from a place where someone did go through what you went through, similar situation, and they're just telling you based off what they know, you know? So I feel like what would you even call that then?
The difference there?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, man. I guess it's just organic advice versus projection. Maybe we'll come back to that at a later time.
Yeah.
I think it really is just the difference being like what you like saying something to someone because you recognize it in yourself and you don't want them to do that, compared to I've already done this and I've learned from it. Here's my experience, try to help you. The difference there being, like you said, one side is I'm projecting. Even if you don't think you are, I might be projecting because I don't feel comfortable with myself, comfortable with who I am. And then there's the other side where they've already gone through that. They already have had that experience. That's why they're trying to tell you. They're not trying to bring you down or anything. They're trying to get you to understand, like, hey, I've been there. I've done that. This is how it is. Like, that, in my opinion, is the main difference. It's just the difference between feeling like you're yelling at someone and reprimanding them and just trying to explain and, like, tell someone.
Yeah.
And I think it can be difficult to kind of tell which one is happening in the moment just based off of them saying stuff to you. But if you engage back with them in a conversation like we've kind of been saying of like, oh, so what do you think I should do? Then you'll be able to determine if they're actually just projecting or if they're genuinely talking to you from a place of I've been there before and I've gone through it already.
And I think that's an important question people don't ask the people trying to give them advice.
Right.
There's like, hey, what can I do? Because if you don't ask what you can do, you're always going to take it as like, oh, they're just trying to tell me what to do. I run my life. I'll do what I want. Exactly. But at the same time, if you ask them like, hey, like, are you telling me this because you recognize something? This is familiar to you? Or are you just telling me this because you feel like I should change it? Because the being able to recognize like, hey, this is how I feel, or this is how I felt, like I was saying earlier, and I'm just trying to help you, compared to, hey, this is how I feel, but I'm going to pretend that it's not.
Yeah.
Because that's how you feel. Like.
Yeah. Yeah, depression is a very interesting thing. And I actually, I had a past, like, it was a while ago. It's been over, it's been like I'm not going to specify, but it's been a while. It's been a while. I'll put it that way. It's been long enough, right? But I was like, I had like I was like with a chick type of thing. Not really, like, it's like a situationship, just
one of those things.
One of those shits and giggles types of things, just for the sport. But hey, don't, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, if a female wants to sit here and get mad at it, like, you can debate me on it, bro. Because, man, I'm not even gonna get into that. That's not what this specific episode is about.
See you in the comments.
Yeah, see you in the comments. But like, I was in a situation with a girl where, like, she, had a lot of issues at home. And I guess you could say she felt as if she was like the type of person that was just like permanently depressed, right? And eventually it led to her having a doctor's appointment and going in to get them pills, the antidepressants pills. And I told, like, I was literally debating her on like not taking these pills. I was literally just straight Andrew Tating the shit out of this whole thing. Just, no, this is why this is wrong, and this is why you're wrong, and I'm right. but like that, like I'm just trying to put it that way to, you know,
Perspective.
yeah, just more for shits and giggles, and yeah. But like, I told her, do this then, take one, see how you feel. I guarantee you, it will not help.
All it does is mask it.
Yes, like it doesn't even mask it. You turn into a fucking zombie. Yep. You turn into a zombie. You turn into a shell of a person that once was.
I used to take mood stabilizers,
Yeah,
and shit, and I stopped taking them because I recognized myself that it was helping because I didn't feel that type of way anymore. But at the same time, it wasn't like. It was like I was saying, like it's like a cover almost, like they're on a tarp over a pool.
It's from what I understand, it's almost like you don't feel depressed anymore, upset, but you don't feel much either. Yep. You don't feel excited, you don't feel happy, you don't feel any of those things as much neither. It's gonna be even harder. But yeah, I told her, take it, see how you feel, and exactly what I said, how she felt. I'm like, bro, you're gonna be like a zombie. You're not gonna want to do anything. You like, even if you're not feeling upset, you're not gonna be feeling happy. You're just gonna kind of be there. You're just gonna kind of
You're
exist.
just gonna end up in this like neutral space.
Almost like
a
literally,
trance.
yeah, you're like in a trance. You're almost like paralyzed. It's weird. And she did it. She took it, and I followed up with her about it. And she told me I was right. She did not take it ever since, from my understanding. From my understanding, she told me she would not take it anymore, and that she said I was right, and that she didn't feel good, and she liked it better, at least being able to feel upset and potentially feel some joy than not feel upset at all and just not feel nothing. So when somebody's like, oh, I need to take all these pills to feel better and to feel okay, I'm like, no, bro. Like
antidepressants and anything like that is just another case of using just like little Band-Aid fix when you need fucking surgery.
Yeah, imagine like I pull up on you with a Smith & Wesson hollow tip point, and I shoot your stupid ass in the arm from like a few feet away. It's gonna cause a lot of damage. You know, I won't shoot. Like the shot's not to kill; it's just to inflict pain.
Yeah.
But what you're gonna get like 4 or 5 bandages?
I'm gonna get a Band-Aid, put it over, and I'm gonna take a painkiller.
Exactly. That's essentially what you're doing to your mind. That's what you're doing to your mind. You're in this very critical situation that could potentially put your life at risk, and you're over here trying to pretty much beat around the bush by taking these pills, taking the shortcut, and not, okay, you know, maybe the job that I have I don't like. Let me start looking for another one, you know? Boom, get another job. Start working out. Find different hobbies. You know, get yourself, just improve in every way, shape, and form that you can, physically, mentally. I mean, build your knowledge, like read books. Like I know it sounds cliche, and when we were all younger, because, you know, we're all the same age here, 23, 22. Like, no, yeah, like when I would hear people say, oh, read a book, like go do this, go do that. Like the same shit I'm telling y'all to do now, I'd think the same shit. I'm like, man, that shit sound boring. It doesn't sound fun. Doesn't sound interesting.
Doesn't need to be fun.
It doesn't need to be fun. That's the thing. Life is, I'm telling you right now, bro, life, that's where people get twisted. They try to make their goal to be happy.
Yeah, they think that they're supposed to be capable of capturing that like childlike happiness and managing to prolong it for their entire life.
Yeah, and it's unrealistic.
Like, because people, like, what it really just boils down to is that people chase happiness when they should be chasing satisfaction.
Exactly. Satisfaction and being proud of yourself.
Yeah, gratification,
Yeah,
all that.
yeah, that's what you want. Because once you achieve those things, guess what comes with it? Happiness. You know, enjoying your time, having fun. That's what comes with that. So once you make your goal to be happy every day, you're not going to be able to do that. It is unrealistic.
Because when you're a kid and you're not worrying about any real large-scale problems, you get to just be happy like that. But when you're an adult, and if you're just chasing after that happiness, there's still all these problems in the back of your mind, the stuff that we've mentioned before, the stuff that you know you need to be doing in the back of your mind that you're not doing. And not doing that is just going to give you this anxiety inside that chasing dopamine is not going to solve. Only taking action and giving yourself gratification will solve that.
And like a lot of times what I've noticed is that people that try to achieve this being happy everyday thing are people whose childhood was traumatic. They weren't able to have that, you know? And I feel like that can definitely be a humongous impact in how they behave in their teens to 20, you know, the rest of their lives. If they don't have that fulfillment as a child, that love, that care, that freedom, you know, that just sunshine and rainbow type of vibe, they're going to chase that later on in life until eventually they at least get a taste of it. But they don't, like, the thing that you need to realize is that to get to that, like you said, being, like, proud of yourself, having satisfaction, knowing that you can provide, protect, you know, you're secured within yourself, that will come along with doing the harder stuff, with going to the gym, with, you know, taking that risk and starting that business, with taking that risk and getting that new job, whatever it may be for you, you got to roll the dice. You know, like we always tell each other whenever we're being hesitant with anything, like we have to roll a 6. And the saying is just like most men are not in a position in life to where they don't understand the fact that you have to roll a 6. I don't have a choice. I have to roll the 6. You know, I cannot roll the 6. I have to win. That is the only option. I have to win. And whatever work is required for me to get there, you got to do it. And with, like, if you establish that mentality, I feel like it helps a lot. With me, it did. Like, with me, like, I had to stop victimizing myself. That's the number one thing. That's the number one thing. I had to stop victimizing myself.
Oh, it's not my fault. It's somebody else's fault. It's because of him.
Yeah, but if he would have, you know, showed up 5 minutes earlier, but if she wouldn't have said this, but if she wouldn't have done that, he, she, you know, none of that's going to get you anywhere, bro. Hold yourself accountable, because once you hold yourself accountable, like you said, if you blame it on somebody else, you can't necessarily find a solution to the problem. But if you blame it on yourself, you can find a solution.
This would be a good time to bring up the quote that I first mentioned in the episode we did of who should you surround yourself with. The quote is very simple. It is, any outcome as it pertains to my life will always be my fault. And my most basic example of this is if an employee and a boss have some miscommunication and there's an error, right? The best thing for the employee to do is to say that this is my fault and what can I do now to rectify it, and what could I have done so that the problem doesn't happen? And if the boss also says, this is my fault, how can I rectify this now, and what could I have done before so that it didn't happen, then they're both in a situation where the problem will be solved because they're both taking accountability as this issue relates to their life. But if each of them blames it on the other person, then absolutely nothing productive will ever get done.
Yes, exactly.
And I have explained this to a few people as high as I can go. And I've had some people tell me that that kind of mindset is like putting too much on your shoulders, but I completely disagree.
I disagree as well. I like having the weight on my shoulders because I have control of it. I have control of the potential outcome that I can have in my life. Like, if I put all that on myself, I can then guide it in whichever direction I want it to go. If I want it to go a positive route, it can go that way. If I want to go a negative route, it can go that way. Mm-hmm. But I'm the one that has control of the situation. I'm the one that's holding myself to that standard.
Yeah, and I like looking at everything in my life as something that I have control over.
Yeah.
Because the opposite mindset is just relinquishing all control and just like you're a tumbleweed being blown around by life. And why would I ever want to think that way?
Yeah. And some people are going to be like, oh, that's an arrogant way of thinking. But it's truly not. Why would I want to build a mind frame for myself to which I'm weak in certain aspects, right? Even if I know, right, that I may not be able to defeat this guy in a fight or anything, I'm never going to tell myself that. You know, I'm always going to try to structure my mind to positivity or just like there's work that needs to be done. You know, it doesn't matter how difficult it is, I have to do it. Mm-hmm. How I feel will not determine the things I need to do. And that's like going back to the very beginning of the video when you mentioned, I think you two were talking about it, when you guys said that people use depression as an excuse for everything. And it's true. And like I've been a victim of it. I'm sure we've all used it at some point as a way to get out of something that we had to do, right?
Yeah.
And people don't they don't realize like if you just you got to build the discipline is the thing. And most people, I don't feel like they have that discipline, right? Most people don't. And it's hard to build. Trust me, it's hard. Like there's times till this day at the time of this filming that I've done things that haven't been, disciplined. I had to do one thing and I did another and I regretted it. But it's just a matter of being aware, analyzing the situation and being real with yourself and just not repeating it. Because once you repeat the same thing over and over again, it's no longer a mistake.
Yeah.
It's no longer a mistake.
It's becoming a
habit. It's a habit and you're comfortable in it. And once you get comfortable in the bad situation that you're in, that's when it's going to be even. That's when you're going to be fucked. You want to put yourself in an uncomfortable state of mind where you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You want it to bother you. If it doesn't bother you where you're at in life, then it's like you're either meant to be where you're at or it's like you're just deceiving yourself. You're lying to yourself to keep yourself comfortable with where you're at because you don't want to acknowledge the truth and the hardship of making that change and improving, your life. I think that's a big issue people face. And like the excuses is insane, man. I mean,
another thing is people letting certain things work them up when they actually don't have control over them.
Yeah.
Like, just a simple example. If I was letting the climate change thing stress me the fuck out, even though Taylor Swift is over there flying on private jets all day and night, as if
Greta.
As if me taking the bus instead of driving my car is going to really make that big of a difference when you still have all this manufacturing pollution in China, all these, I saw a video of over 100 private jets leaving Las Vegas after the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah. It was insane.
Yeah. So,
and it's like, I feel like a lot, dude, most people, I hate to put it this way, but at the same time, I really don't, because fuck you guys sometimes. But the Matrix, the slave mind, and there's specific ones that I'm not our fans and the people that like us, and
Oh no, you guys are cool.
Yeah, I love our fans, the subscribers, man. We love you. But I don't want to specify any groups of people or anything like that.
Keep it vague.
Liberals. I'm just playing, y'all. I'm just trying to make jokes. But being serious, on a serious note, I think that a lot of people will distract themselves with this global warming stuff, with this fucking police brutality shit, because in their own life, they don't have anything to keep their mind thinking, to keep their mind occupied, exactly. So they use the politics, the sporting events, all this bullshit, all this degeneracy that's going on in Hollywood, in the music industry, in the sports world. Like, they use all this to make it a part of their life. Like, they feel as if they're
well, it becomes a part of their identity.
Yeah.
Like, caring about certain issues becomes part of their identity. So they've invested too much into it. They're latched onto it.
Yeah, I would agree.
I feel like people think that just because they are a certain way, I mean, just as a deadline example, after they graduate, that they're like, oh, well, I graduated. This is the way I've always been. I'm gonna just keep it this way.
Yes.
But realistically, you're supposed to take what you've learned and grow from it and figure out how to make yourself and do what you want to do. But a lot of people, I feel like they graduate and they're just like, all right, cool. I'm gonna just go run around, spend thousands of dollars on shit I don't need, and that'll keep me happy. And it's just not true. Like, yeah, you spend 86 grand on a new car. 4 months, it's not even gonna feel as exciting because it's not a new car anymore.
Yeah.
And since you brought up the whole police brutality thing, I'll backtrack just a little bit back to that quote I mentioned, because I wasn't going to bring this up, but since you mentioned police brutality, I will. So another example that I use with that quote is, let's say that there was a black man who got pulled over by the cops because he was black. For this situation, let's just assume that it was the racist case, right? If the driver just completely blames racism, then he's completely absolving himself of control. But if he just looked at himself analyzed and just asked, what could I have done just a little bit differently that could have minimized my risk? Because there's a trick, there's a few tricks that I learned when it comes to getting pulled over, especially at night, that can really make the officer feel less threatened and can make the whole situation go a lot smoother. So if you get pulled over at night, first thing you'd want to do is turn on your cabin light so that now the officer can see. He can see and he feels less threatened because he has more information. And especially if when he gets to my car, if I have both my hands on the steering wheel at 10 and 2, he sees where my hands are. He's also going to feel a bit less threatened. He's not going to be as on edge.
Yeah.
So there are things that you can do, body language, because we've seen videos of certain individuals getting pulled over, and they're aggressive from the start.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that like the officer shouldn't have been better himself, but it's like, why would you instantly start off being aggressive with an officer unless
but it comes down to control, right? What can you control?
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you can truly control in this whole entire world without it having any malfunctions, or I guess it can happen, but is your mind.
Your mind and the way that you respond to other things.
Yes, that's what you have full control over. You can determine exactly what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, when you're going to say it, all of it. So it's just it's like you said, it's just a matter of just holding yourself accountable, analyzing yourself to see what you could have done to maybe avoid the situation. And like when I bring up the police brutality stuff, it's not to say that shit is non-existent. I'm not that shit happens. Trust me.
Does.
I'm a brown man with tattoos all over myself. I dress a certain way. You know, I move a certain way, and I get misjudged a lot. So I understand certain, at certain points. But that's the thing. You see what I did there? I analyze myself. I know what I look like. I know how I dress. I know how I talk. If I want to sit here and talk professionally, I can do that. But if I want to talk with slang and, I'm just chilling with the homies, whatever, I can do that too. But it's just a matter of me realizing, okay, yeah, I do look like the way I do. And people that look like me tend to have a certain type of reputation at times, right? It can be bad, it can be good. It can go one way. They're gonna look at you and be like, "Oh, this dude's a banger." He's probably in the streets doing some crazy shit. Or they're gonna be like, "Everybody thinks I'm a rapper." Like I've been asked if I'm a rapper. Like I don't know how many times.
I've seen it happen.
You seen it happen, bro. Like. I can more times than I can count in both of my hands.
It's the funniest shit, bro. They'll think Cesare's a rapper, and depending on how my demeanor is, they'll think I'm your security guard.
Yeah, we've had that happen. We were sitting there getting food, and this dude asked me if I was famous. We were just talking. I was just giving him very vague answers. I wasn't saying yes or no, and then he's like, "Bullshit, man." He's like, "That's your security guard right there. Look at him." And he pointed to him because he wasn't getting food at this time.
I remember this exact story. I didn't want food. Riley was there. He will always say that I did want food. I wasn't hungry.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So because we were passing through somewhere, and there was just this food spot. Cesare wants food. Riley wants food. So they go to get it. They ask me. I'm like, "Nah, I'm good. I'll just chill over here." And I look very serious. I keep my resting bitch face on, and I was a solid like 10, 15 feet away from you guys. So yeah, the people there knew that I was with you guys, and it looked like that,
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna sit there and like think that, oh, he shouldn't have thought that. Like, no, I self-analyze. I know what it looks like.
Exactly. It's just like, it's just holding yourself accountable, man. If I'm walking around somewhere and I'm catching stares, like, I'm not going to trip on it too much just because I already know potentially why they're staring at me, And I don't ever act out, and when I'm out in public, I'm very, I try to keep a low profile, but it's kind of hard to keep a low profile when you're wearing bright orange pants with the fucking bright orange beanie and wearing sunglasses inside. Like, man, But, I understand it, though. That's the thing. I understand it. I don't allow it to affect me. And I try to put a friendly face on, Not that I'm faking it or nothing. But if it's like, let's say I'm out in public and I notice somebody staring at me and they're close to me, right? I might say something friendly to them, kind of get them to joke, maybe, something like that. Crack a joke with them, ask them how they're doing, just so they can feel that, like, I'm good. You don't got nothing to worry about. I'm not going to attack you. Like that, but yeah, accountability is gonna be the biggest thing. Like, I mean, and I've been saying that throughout this whole video. It's like accountability, man. Like, people struggle with that. It's beyond me. Like, I'm 23 years of age, and I know people, like, and everybody says, oh, you know, wisdom comes with age. No, wisdom comes from having experience, putting yourself out there, dealing with different kinds of people, dealing with different kinds of situations, and being able to learn from it and move forward and grow from it. That's what wisdom is.
I've known people in their 30s who still blame things on their parents and the way that their parents raised them.
Yeah.
It's like, newsflash, dude, you've been an adult for over 12 years now. Things are nobody's fault but your own by this point. For 12 years, it's only been your fault.
Yeah,
You've had control for at least 10. So.
exactly. It's just a matter of making a decision. Like, why let something that is out of your control impact your life? It's a problem when it impacts your day or your week already. When it impacts your life, I get it, bro. Like, you know, bad things happen to you. You know, if for a female sense, like, they could be abused by a male in many different ways. For males, it's like dealing with like a lot of. Everybody deals with their own shit. I don't want to specify anything because I don't want nobody getting hurt, but. We all deal with shit. We all have our own experiences. Stuff can directly bad happen to us. Like, let's say if I go to a party, right, and I get robbed at this party. Sure, I can get upset and blame those dudes and get mad at them, but at the end of the day, it's like, what should I have paid attention to? Who invited me to this party? Where this party was at? The kinds of people that are going to be there, right? Should I have gone or not? Hold yourself accountable. Truly, hold yourself accountable. Don't put yourself in. Because I've seen a lot of people, they'll put themselves in a bad situation, and something or somebody will do something to them, and then it immediately is never their fault.
No.
It's, oh, well,
And it's not to say that this bad thing that happened, that these people who did that's not to say that they're not in the wrong. They are in the wrong. But you also had control. Who was the one who put themselves there?
Exactly. No, that's the other thing. Like, people get it twisted, because I've seen multiple people say this, and they're like, well, if they weren't psychopaths, if they didn't do this, okay, sure. Why were you there? You know, why weren't you paying attention?
That's the other thing. Yes, psychopaths exist. They're not just going to vanish tomorrow. So we should move forward with that in mind.
With caution.
And move forward accordingly.
Yeah. Like, you know that there's people out there and problems out there. Evil has always been around. That's what it's always been a thing that's been around. So, like, there's just because it's 2024 doesn't mean that you should walk around like, well, I'm a liberal and I don't believe in violence, so violence shouldn't happen to me.
Yeah,
like, dude, it doesn't matter if you're a fucking liberal, Democrat. It doesn't matter. Violence is gonna happen to anybody. You need to be prepared. And if you're gonna keep fooling yourself, telling yourself that it shouldn't happen to you because of blah blah blah, bro, I promise you're gonna have something coming for you.
And people, like, don't think about the fact, like, oh, the killers are so blah, blah, blah. The only reason it's more known about now is because of the internet. Like,
exactly.
Shit like this. Like, well, we're talking about it right now.
Yeah.
That's why it's more known. But, like, people want to act like, oh, the world is safe except for this group or this place. But in reality, like, you could be in the nicest neighborhood. I've known people who moved to, I think, even Travis Kelce, he moved houses because people found out where he lived and he was just getting, like, shit thrown at his house, people at his door every day.
Yeah.
Like, it happens. It can happen to anyone at any time.
Dude, celebrities get killed all the time.
All the
Rappers
time.
get killed. I mean, look
Look
rest
in
in
the past, like, 6 years.
for real. I mean, rest in peace, Pop Smoke. He's one of, he's still one of my top artists. I love listening to his music, but
Rest in peace.
he got killed, bro, in, like, was it Beverly Hills, like the hills, in the mansions, and like any bad can chase you anywhere. You need to hold yourself accountable for the mistakes you make to put yourself in certain positions. You know what his mistake was? He posted a video on Instagram. He was on live or something, and he had some packages delivered to him. And in the video, you could see the packages behind him. And if you zoom in enough, you can see the address of where the package was delivered. So that's what got him caught up. So sure, those dudes that did him like that, yeah, fuck them. You know, that's fucked up. You just took a young man's life, an upcoming star, for no real reason, for some spare change, essentially, you know. But he should have been aware.
Yep.
He should have been aware. He should have paid attention to that video. Like, one of his people should have, like, sure, see, here I go making excuses. one of his people maybe should have said something. But at the end of the day, he's the one. He's an adult man. He took the video. He posted it.
And he's been in that world.
Exactly.
He, lived that
He
world.
knows.
should
Yeah.
know better.
He knows how the cookie crumbles on that side of things.
And with the whole violence thing, one of the best ways to just kind of make yourself remove yourself from being a target is to just be aware. If you're walking down the street and you're just like locked in,
Headphones
on, and you're not paying attention to your surroundings,
You're
and
asking
there's
to get robbed.
and there's somebody with ill intent who's there, they're gonna pick up on that. They're gonna see the guy walking with headphones who's not paying attention. They're gonna be staring at him, see him never look around, and they'll be like, him.
Victim.
But if they see someone who's walking around, who is in shape, who has their head on a swivel, they're gonna be like, nah, I don't want to deal with that.
I mean, shit,
Yeah.
even even if you have headphones in, just keeping your head and your
Yep.
chin up. Like
Yep.
you can't just be walking around looking at you. Oh, this is some good music. You can't be doing this.
No.
Like especially like depending where you are. Like if you live downtown, you're walking down these streets with headphones in, not paying attention. You are almost asking for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because especially like nowadays, AirPods. Everyone wants a pair of damn AirPods. If you have a pair of nice AirPods, a good outfit on, and you're paying no attention, you're asking for it.
Yeah.
And people want to pretend that that's not realistic, but it very much is.
Yeah, and it kind of falls. It's kind of like, with men and females, those same things relate in different aspects. I would say for men, it's like, I would say them wearing like nice things, having nice stuff, and putting and then going to bad areas and not being aware of where they are, and then they get mad that they get robbed or finessed or jumped, whatever. And then, in a female's behalf, she's just got to be careful of how she dresses and presents herself in public. And especially when she's out at bars and clubs, because you never know if there's some weirdo up in there, Like, there are weirdos out there. That's why, like, females that, like, are like, oh, I should be able to dress the way I want and do whatever I want and not have to worry about it. Sure, you shouldn't have to worry about that. But you do.
That's not the reality.
But that's not reality of the world. You do. So you just got to be aware. If you're going to dress a certain way, if you're going to go a certain place, be aware. Be prepared. Because
Especially in a place like that where it's like a bar or a club, there's a lot of people passing through in a given hour. It's hard to
intoxicated.
hard to keep track of everyone who's there.
Yep. And they're like, you guys, we at least been to some bars, right? You've been to a bar and stuff. It's hard. If somebody wants to do something to you and they're slick with it, they can't. And they will. Like, you just got to be aware. You got to have accountability. You can't be living life with your head in the clouds thinking everything's sweet out here, because it's not, bro.
And it's also like, it goes back to like what you were saying with the chicks, how they dress and stuff like that. This isn't a shout out, oh, you women dress scantily. It's nothing like that. People like, and again, not saying like,
I'm
yeah,
just kidding.
But then, like, going back, it's like the point, like, people are like, oh, well, rape is a terrible thing. It shouldn't happen. Well, no, duh. That's should be pretty obvious.
Good job.
But yeah, exactly. You figured out the common denominator. Oh, I should treat someone correctly.
Yeah.
Like, at the same time, like, I feel like some people also, they're like, oh, well, what did I do to deserve it? Well, how were you dressed? How were you acting? How were you looking? Where were you?
Who were you with?
Who were you with? Like, these are all important questions. If you're trying to be safe, these are all questions you have to ask yourself, especially if you're going
I just get very upset and just almost like a father would with his own daughter. Like, it's just like it's sad and disappointing when that happens to a female, because it's like, damn, like the mindset for somebody to do that. But it's also like nobody told you this, nobody, like, your mom didn't tell you to be careful with this type of stuff. Your dad didn't tell you, your brother, your friends. It's not something good to that. With that, when that happens to a female, it impacts their life. And
Absolutely.
like so many, like in a lot of bad ways, to say the least, right? And it's just weird to me that even till this day, with all the social media stuff going on, with all the YouTube videos, TikTok, everything, the internet, there are still people out there that try to argue the point that, just because it's like it just shouldn't be a thing that happens anymore.
Just because it's wrong doesn't mean we shouldn't prepare for its inevitability.
Exactly. Like, war isn't right? But guess what? Every country has tanks, bombs, soldiers, everything. They got strategies, they got spies, they got everything prepared. Police officers, same thing. They might be stopping you just to give you a ticket for speeding, but they're going to pull up on you aware that they might have to up it on you. Like, you got to be prepared for all that. You got to be aware. And like I said, for the millionth time, somebody count how many times I said accountability in this video. You got to hold yourself accountable, bruv. You got to. Even if it's not directly your fault that something happened, if somebody did something to you, if you got into an accident, hold yourself accountable. Because it's going to be a lot easier to get past it.
Be honest with yourself. Where in this situation did I have control? Where did the breakdown actually happen?
What could I have controlled? What can I have changed? What could I have done to make the situation better?
Exactly. And build off of it. Don't beat yourself up too much. Just build off of it. And one step at a time. That's what I mean. It's just going to keep going like that. And it's never going to stop. That's the thing you need to get. It's never going to stop. Just because you've achieved so much in life, that doesn't mean life isn't going to keep throwing shit at you. Like, use these celebrities as examples, bro. You act like these people, just because they're famous and rich, they don't get sick. They don't deal with the loss of a friend or a family member. They don't deal with, a girl cheating on them. Yeah, they're normal people too, man. But hold yourself accountable. Be aware. Like, make progress. If you truly want to make a change in life, you need action taken. There is no other way around it. No pills, no alcohol, no weed, no shrooms, no nothing is going to get you out of that hole that you're in if you're not taking actual action towards the goals and the things you want to achieve in life.
And I feel like it's the same thing. A lot of people think, it's like the same thing with like not being depressed. Oh, I can change this in 2 days. It's just not possible.
No.
Again, depending on where you're at, but being able to take accountability for yourself is something that might take you time because you've never done it before. I'm still learning. I still have stuff I'm trying to figure out, take myself accountable for, but that's part of the growth.
Exactly.
You have to learn, okay, like you both have said this in this like video, like you have to learn, okay, this is what happened. I didn't like that outcome. What could I have changed, or what could I slowly understand that maybe should have been even a little bit different to make the result better? Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, I do hold myself accountable. It's like, okay, but how often do you, I eat like shit at McDonald's every day, but that's not my fault because I'm broke. It goes back to what I said earlier. You can make probably the same shit you're making or eating at McDonald's or any fast food place. You can go to the store and just cook it yourself. It's probably healthier. It's probably cheaper. Even if it's only $6-7, that shit adds up. That it's cheaper, it's healthier, and it'll help like you said, the accountability. You have to be able to look at yourself and be like, all right, what's the issue? What can I fix?
And it may take a little bit more time, but that's also kind of the point. Same thing I was saying earlier about instant gratification versus delayed gratification. Just going to the McDonald's, sitting in the drive-thru and getting your food as fast as you can versus actually taking the time to make sure you're getting good nutrients, taking the time to cook it thoroughly, properly, and actually eating real food that isn't just poison. That takes a little bit more time, but it is better for you. It's better for your soul. You will feel better, way better afterwards.
Yeah. And yes, it takes time to like make some like dinners and shit like that. It takes time sometimes. Yes, I understand. I can understand. It's easier to go to the drive-thru, get 2-3 burgers, you're set. But at the same time, the time you spent in the drive-thru is probably not equivalent, but close to. You could have been just cooking.
Yeah, by the time you're home, you would have been almost done.
You would have been almost done.
Yeah, another thing I'll do is like if I'm gonna cook, I'll throw on a podcast, throw on something that's gonna give you value while you're doing it. Yeah. Because cooking is not like, unless you're like brand new to it, it's not something that requires 100% brain power at all times. You could be consuming something, you could be listening to something. If you're gonna do like, if it's really that difficult, like put on an episode of your favorite TV show or something, listen to it in the background, and just cook.
Put on some music.
Make some good food for yourself for once.
And I honestly I didn't really like cooking. I thought it was too much work, too much this, all that. But as I've grown older,
it's feminine.
There's a satisfaction to it.
Yeah.
There is like you make your own food, you make all this whole meal, and it may take an hour to make your taco meat and everything you need with it, whatever it is. But by the time you're done eating, you're like, damn, that shit was pretty fucking good, and I did that like myself. I spent my money, I made it myself. I don't have to worry about what's in it because I know what I put in it. Yeah. Like,
it's something that you can be proud of versus waking up the next day and you look at the McDonald's bag still sitting there and you're reminded that you ate
Spent,
like shit
you
yesterday.
spent $16 on a fucking fried large soda and a goddamn burger. Shit's highway robbery, but not the point right now.
But yeah, no, like, and the biggest problem that, you know, I've had in the past and what I'm currently seeing other people have is they'll sit here and talk to me about how they're feeling depressed and they're feeling upset, you know, and I have no issues with them coming to me to talk about it. It's just a matter of when I do have those conversations with them, I'm going to keep it 100 with you, you know. I'm not going to beat around the bush. You know that.
Absolutely.
So the way that the responses that I've been getting is just excuse. I mean, I've had some ridiculous fucking excuses, bro. I've had people tell me that they don't have that much time to do any workouts or cook their own meals at home or healthier meals at home.
What are you doing with your whole day?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, don't you? And I'm like, do you or do you not cook every day when you get home after work? Oh yeah, I do. Okay, so what difference is it if you cook a health? Like, what? Why would cooking something healthier require more time? Like, sure, you might need to go to the grocery store and get some new stuff. You might need to look up a new recipe. But as far as the cooking in and of itself, it's not gonna add any more time than you frying fucking shrimp and chicken every fucking day, eating that, you know, like cooking the healthier food is probably gonna take less time. But like I've told people, cook healthier food, go for a walk a few times a week. It doesn't have to be an everyday thing. And even that, a few times a week during a workout, not every day, separate it. Maybe 3 times, start with 2-3 times a week. It's like their mind can't fathom the thought of doing that. It's almost like they've built their mind to tell them that it's impossible to do that, and it's ridiculous to me.
Realistically, it takes 30 to 40 minutes to go on a walk.
Exactly.
You have
And then in
24
order
hours
to make something a habit, after you surpass the 2-week mark, you're pretty solid.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be a lot harder to not do the new habit that you developed than to just sit around and not do it at all. You know, it's gonna bother you if you don't do it.
Yep. And when people say that they don't have time, all that really tells you is where their priorities are.
Yeah.
Unless you can give me a spreadsheet breakdown of your entire week and where every single minute went, and you were just genuinely swamped with all this important stuff. Unless that's the situation, I do not want to hear that you don't have time.
No, and we're busy people. I mean, we're doing multiple different things. YouTube is just like one of the, like, this is like the easy part of it.
YouTube
honestly.
is the one that you could actually classify as a hobby.
Yeah, this is like more of a hobby type of thing. Everything else is like more business related, you know, meetings, you know, just, you got, you know, if you know, you know, right? But like, even we have time in our day to do certain stuff, right? And there's people that are above us and people that are above them that are even busier who still find time to do all these things. So for you to sit there and tell me that you do not have enough time is complete fucking bullshit. And you're just comfortable with the situation that you're in. And if you've accepted that in your life, that's fine. But don't go taking the problems out on other people, you know, because that's what a lot of them do. They'll have a problem with themselves and they'll go and start taking their anger out on other people and just try to point the fingers. Bro, it's you. You don't want to make a change. You're comfortable for where you're at. Hold yourself accountable. Most of you are grown-ass fucking people, so it's ridiculous the fact that, like, you're still having to be talked to like a goddamn child at times.
But we have to talk to adults like they're children sometimes. You and me, like, we've had situations
No,
like that.
we've had to. I'm not joking, Joe. We've had to dumb down. Like, I've had people watch our videos, and they'll ask me questions like, what does this mean? And then I'm like, what do you mean, what did it mean? It's as clear as fucking day.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
exactly what I
but,
said
like,
is what it means.
We've had to dumb it down, and it's just it's very impressive. It's honestly kind of impressive to me that there's people that their mind is just so blind to their bad behaviors and the excuses that they use. And maybe it's not. Maybe they're not blind to it. Maybe they're fully aware of it. They're just not really. It's almost like it's like a habit that they developed. So now it's just second nature to them to do this shit.
See, and that's
But the excuses is just, it's beyond me. And the people that have had the biggest struggles with making changes are always the older people, and that's just because, well, I've lived longer, I know more. Dude, like, we can sit down here face to face and talk about it. I don't think so. You know, I'm not saying that's just for everybody, but specific kinds of people, right? Just because you're 30 plus years old, 40 plus years old, does not mean you've lived life the way you should have. And just because you're older doesn't mean you know a lot more than I do. You don't know the type of experiences I have. You don't know the kinds of people I have around me. I mean, I have a lot of people around me that are, you know. And
it's ignorant to assume that just because someone is older than someone else, they know more. That's ignorant.
It is. Because it's just it's not true, you know.
Because it's like my main issue with that, for those who might still have a problem with us saying that wisdom does not by default come with age, but saying that wisdom comes with age is just to basically blanket statement say that your quantity of time on this planet is more important than the quality of the time and what you actually choose to dedicate your time to.
Yeah.
You can be 40, 50 years old, but if you've been cutting wood and just like living a pretty simple life, you know, yeah, you will know more about
cutting wood and
cutting some wood, but at the same time, you don't know more about what I might have done because you've never done it before.
Exactly.
And I feel like people, like especially older people, like they don't, like they say that, like they're like, oh, I know better. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you might know better about some things or like this topic a little bit, but it depends. It's like
in general is what I'm talking about. It's just like, it's not even the knowledge of like, oh, I can, if this fucking motherboard were to break, I could go in there and fix it. Like, no, like I would need a fucking engineer, technician, you know, somebody that knows how to work wires to do that. I'm not saying that. I'm more saying life experience, real life knowledge, dealing with depression, overcoming it, you know, or at least making it easier for yourself. You're struggling with women problems. What behaviors are you having, you know? What are you doing to cause your woman to act that way? Because I've done certain things that's made my woman act a certain way, and it didn't work out for me. And I know what those things were eventually, right? And now I do different things, and I have a different outcome. So it's like, I feel like there's people there that they will live their life one way only. They will not make any changes or try anything new. They'll get the same results over and over and over again. And they could be older than me. They could be 30, 40 years old. But then I come around, and I've tried multiple different strategies for multiple different things. I'm going to have more knowledge. And that's just facts. It comes with putting yourself out there, and being around all different kinds of people, dealing with different kinds of people and different kinds of situations, like I said earlier. But yeah, like depression, sure, it's a very serious thing, but to say that it's permanent damage and that it cannot be solved, I will not allow myself to believe that. Nor do I want anybody that's, especially people that I personally know that I see on a daily basis, thinking that neither, because there is a way to change. There is a way to improve it. There always is, and taking pills and doing all that shit is not it. Feel me? Sitting down in your little cave, in your little dungeon, playing with your fucking dick all day is not it. So you got to get yourself out there. You got to meet new people. Surround yourself with the right people. Eat the right foods. Get a workout in. Develop some hobbies. Nobody's saying be the next fucking Bill Gates or, Michael Phelps, or be the next anything like that. But there are things that you can do to improve your life. There are things that you can do. That is not just fucking doctors giving you a bunch of pills in a bottle and say, oh, here you go, you'll feel better after this. Like, no, don't try other things before you do that. Promise. I promise you'll feel better.
So that pretty much wraps up the episode. I want to thank Joe for being here with us.
Of course.
You have any closing thoughts you want to give out to the audience?
I think the final thing I was about to say, what he was talking about, the depression, is people, yes, like he's saying, you can fix it. It might be something that you have for the rest of your life, but it's learning about controlling it and understanding how to make it better. Yeah. Yes, you have it, but it doesn't mean it has to destroy you forever.
It doesn't have to be your identity. Exactly. It doesn't have to run your life. Like I said, the mind is the one thing that you truly have full control over. Like, control it. Because if you don't have control over that, bro, you don't have to control over anything. If you don't have control over yourself, you don't have control over anything. And we talked about this in a video that it's going to be uploaded. I didn't upload it yet, but it's going to be uploaded actually tonight. But yeah, in that video, I was just,
It'll be uploaded by the time you guys see this video.
Yeah, it'll be uploaded. But you'll see there's a couple of things that we said in that video that relate to this one. But
You got to watch to find out now.
yeah. But yeah, stay tuned. Joe, like I said, thank you for coming on. It was fun. It was interesting. It was a very natural conversation, guys. As you can tell, we did not, like, we planned this, but we didn't sit here like, well, we're going to talk about this and this and
There
this,
ain't
but
no
not
paper
this.
here.
Yeah,
There's no
nothing.
script. No, none of that
We just
shit.
wanted to have a pure, natural conversation with the knowledge that we have on top of our head. And, you know, you guys do as you please with that. But if you're feeling triggered by something we potentially said, leave it in the comments. I'm more than happy to potentially talk to you about it. Approach me correctly. But if you don't, then I'm just going to ignore you, think you're childish and a fool. And then, yeah. And then for the other ones, man, if your life is not, if you're fighting every day, if you mad every day, if you sad every day, if some bullshit like that is going on every day, make a fucking change. Stop lying to yourself and being an idiot. Seriously. Why? What do you gain from it? Nothing. Really nothing.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah. So, thank you. Catch you on the next one.
Peace out.
Run it. I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground.